up, B?
Yeah, he do. That's the one who's died.
Give you like a shot, or just like that.
I find myself saying the same thing to Devin Booker, to Brandon Knight, to TJ Warren, you know, and I gotta chuckle sometimes on the sideline, because I'm like, damn, I sound like damn, I sound like Pip. And I used to make fun of these dudes, but when you're on a young group, they're all sponges. They want to learn, and it's your job to teach them. It's your job to teach them how to deal with losing, how to deal with winning, how to prepare yourself, how to go through shoot around, how to go through film. All of these things is now kind of your duty, because you're that guy on the team.
Let's go, son. 1, 2, 3.
So you gotta make sure you show them the right way, and you feel like all the tables are turned.
So why are vets important to NBA players? I mean, this is a question that has come up recently. We've had comments from different people about the lack of veterans. I'm listening to different podcasts about the lack of veterans on the Rockets. And, you know, this is something that I've been thinking about for some time, actually a few years. And if you ask me what's my biggest criticism of the Rockets front office throughout this entire rebuild, is their inability to be able to understand the importance of having veterans on a roster. This was something that we've seen throughout the entire time since we started our first major draft with Jalen Green's class, and we've seen the effects of it. Veterans are important, and there's good reason why a lot of NBA teams and players go above and beyond to try to secure these high-class veterans. But it's not just any veterans you have to get. You have to get the right type of veterans. You have to get players that are comfortable with their position in the NBA to understand that once they get on these young teams with these young players, that they're not there to just get theirs. And I think that's really where the Rockets have messed up throughout their time. We've had players come on. We've had different players be on the roster. If you go to the 2021 roster in the 21-22 season, in Jalen Green's rookie year, obviously we had DJ Augustine, but he was moved off. We had Eric Gordon on there. We had Dennis Schroeder, who moved on. Daniel House was traded. David Nwaba was traded. Christian Wood was a player that was trying to still get his. These aren't the right guys that you have for veterans. Daniel Tyson was there, but he was also traded. The Eric Gordon situation, he comes out later on to say that the team is not improving. And as we know, you know, those type of comments that you make about young players does impact them. John Wall was a player that was supposed to be a veteran on there, but the relationship with the front office soured, you know, through different experiences with him still trying to be a player that was going to get his. So just having older players on your roster isn't good enough. And recently we've seen the acquisition of Danny Green, John Wall again, who both have been bought out. Justin Holiday bought out. Frank Kaminsky possibly pending being bought out. And right now we may not have a single player on the roster that has more than 3 years of experience if Frank Kaminsky goes. And so this is definitely a big issue, because in the NBA, vets are important. I'm going to go through some of the main reasons why I think vets are important.
I hate losing, and I refuse to allow it to become me.
I mean, the biggest thing is right now, we gotta take a look at this game, you know, see where things went wrong, and then by tomorrow you gotta let it go.
Yeah, the grind is incredible. You know, it's not just the game, just the travel also.
Trying to get in LA and trying to get some rest, you know, and then lock in on them tomorrow.
I didn't understand it at first, that I was the outsider that thought just professional basketball was just the game only. Then they go home and get to live the great lifestyle with all the money that they have. Now that I'm here, it's that, you know, it's real life. You know, the NBA is a lot harder than people think. You know, it's a lot different than college. It's a lot different.
So you guys know me as the stat person. In this video, there's really not going to be any stats. You know, this is just, we're going to talk about some of the interpersonal things about basketball. Basketball is a sport. It is very analytical, but at the same time, it's a human sport, and it's an art. And these are things that you have to be able to read when you're building a team. It can't just be X's and O's and things on the drawing board and trade assets and this and that. The personal side of building a team involves the human relationships that you have to cultivate, not only between the personnel, but also the players and between the players. One of the worst recipes you could have in the NBA is having a team full of a bunch of first and second year players that are all trying to get theirs. And that's really what the Rockets are cooking with right now. And that's a recipe for disaster. What you have to do is be able to bring these players on, these veterans that are able to help them out in different ways. One of the key ways veterans help young players is to get adjusted to the grind of the NBA. The NBA is a grind. It is a slugfest, playing back-to-backs, playing, multiple games, 4 games in 5 nights, moving from city to city to city. For a lot of these rookies and these guys that are coming out of college and these academies and coming out of high school, they're not used to this level of workload. And for them, it can be both physically and mentally draining for them. We've heard comments from Jalen and Jabari and some of the players about just the grind of the NBA. One of the great things about having vets there around, it helps them pace themselves and gives them that support that they need to understand that this is a marathon and not a sprint. These are the things that help the players like, Jabari that's struggling right now, who's probably reached a point in the season where he's not used to playing this much basketball in his life. The same could go for Tari, Eason, for Ty, any of these players, but for Jabari mostly because he's the guy that's playing 30 minutes a night. This may be why he's struggling on the shooting, right? The wear and tear of playing in the NBA, but a good veteran can always be there to help you adjust to the grind, help you pace yourself, help you learn to take care of your body, help you make sure you're doing the right things on and off the court. And this is what's missing from our team in that regards, because we have a bunch of basically kids supporting kids. And even Coach Salas has commented on the lack of veterans, stating that, it's not ideal to have a roster filled with a bunch of 3-year and under players, because he understands this. This is an old NBA thing that, everybody knows. All the great players have veterans, and there's no coincidence that, it is something that teams really, really try to find.
That's the biggest thing with older players and younger players. Is younger players feel like it's about numbers. Get mine. Older players understand it's about winning. My rookie year, it was like, I'm putting up numbers. I'm starting to get playing time now. And we still were dead last, at the bottom of the totem pole. So you learn.
A great reason to have a vet, especially for a team like ours that's losing right now, that's in the process of rebuilding, is to learn not to pick up bad habits. Vets are going to help you do that. When you have the right vet, like I said, it can't just be a guy like a Christian Wood that's trying to get theirs and move on to their next contract, or an Eric Gordon that's trying to still play and earn his next contract. You have to get these guys that are confident and comfortable in where they are in their careers. Preferably, you want guys like the Danny Greens, the guys that have been there, done that. They've won championships. They've seen it all. They've seen the ups and the downs. And you want to bring those type of individuals into your organization for them to be able to help your guys kind of learn how to be a winner, even in a losing context. Just because you're losing games on the court doesn't mean you have to be a loser. And that's something that's really, really hard for these young players to understand, because, as I mentioned before, they're still getting acclimated to the grind of the NBA. So vet provides that support and also gives them the ability to be able to learn to be a winner. That's going to your workouts pre and post, not just staying up all night and, playing video games, not just, skipping out on your trainer times where you're supposed to go to the training room and get your treatment and conditioning and all those things. You need to be in tip-top shape. These are the little tricks of the trade, and vets just help them in different ways and provide that support on and off the court in practice. Somebody they can talk to help them through these times. Don't you think it's hard for Jabari to see his shooting numbers the way they are? Don't you think it's hard for Jalen to go out, struggle every night and lose and get blown out? For Sengun, for all these players, it can be real damaging to young player psyches, and just having those people there, those presence of those adults in the room that aren't coaches, because coaches can't always understand what the players are going through. Just like with any job, when you get to a new job, usually if it's a job that's hard enough, you're going to have somebody that's going to train you. You're going to have somebody that's going to be like a mentor or a preceptor, or somebody that's going to help you get acclimated to the work environment. Somebody you can ask questions to when things are, seem hard or they're going wrong. You need somebody there with experience that makes you feel comfortable until you get acclimated to it. In most businesses, this is the standard, especially for newer employees. Now, if you're an experienced person, you can get in. Maybe they just tell you where the restroom is and you know how to get rolling. But for young people in any job setting, it's always important to have those mentors in place. And I think for the Rockets, definitely something that we need to address.
I know you've been accustomed to winning a lot of your career, NBA champion, gold medal. But at the point of this season, we had a string together. We lost 10 plus games in a row. What still drives you? What made you still want to keep playing?
Part of your job as being a veteran and a leader on a team is understanding and identifying some of the problems and work through those issues. When I came to this team, I thought the organization had a bright future. I still feel that way. So instead of getting caught up in the wins and the losses, I had to get caught up in the process and how do I take this team to a winning level, because that's what I came here for. And so that became my wins.
In line with learning not to be a loser while you're losing, establishing a culture is one of the key aspects of veterans, right? What you want your veterans to be able to do is establish that culture of winning for your team, right? Even though you're losing, they can see the big picture. They can encourage your players to look at it from not just where they are at that moment in time, but a future that may include winning and advancing to different levels in their NBA careers. But it's going to take a vet that's been there, right? That's why it's very important to have the right types of people in these roles. It can't just be players that have been, borderline NBA players their whole careers, because they haven't really known some of the pressures and the ups and downs for it, especially when you're dealing with high top 10, top 16 lottery level players that are drafted high and have high expectations. Ideally, you want those types of players. I mean, really, John Wall would have been a great vet if it had worked out, because he fits that, but obviously he wasn't at a point in his career where he was able to accept that role for himself. So that didn't work out. And a lot of the guys that we've been bringing in aren't in that role to really accept that. But establishing that culture of building those foundational habits, like I said, workouts, training, getting your body right, doing the right things on and off the court, encouragement, support, those things lend to when it is time for those rookies to become sophomores and those sophomores become third and fourth year players, then they can transition into roles where they become leaders for the next generation of players you have coming in. But there has to be that succession planning for those players to reach those goals, because if you don't have that, then what you just have is a bunch of players that are playing in the NBA against grown men and learning habits that either are good or bad. And there's no way to really confirm that. The coaches can only do so much. It is up to the organization to put those support systems in place. And I think for the Rockets, these past 2 years, they haven't done a great job doing that.
Going into the summer, what do you feel like you took from this season and you got to go work on?
Pretty much everything.
My advice to you going into the offseason would be, you got to make the decision on who Devin Booker is going to be. It happens right now. You know what's in front of you. You know what's at stake. You know what to prepare for. The biggest thing in this league is consistency. The players that you see that separate themselves are consistent. They do it every single night. And then you have others that really don't want that. They want to play around. It's more important for them to have the fame, the money, the lifestyle, but they're not really dedicated to the game. Do you want to be legendary, or do you want to have your moments? Are we going to watch you as one of the guys on the roster, or are we going to be paying to come watch you play because you're that special player? Understand and take those necessary steps, because you got to make a decision on what you want to be.
So what can the Rockets do to fix this? because they can't fix this. Yes, it's been 2 years since we brought in our 7 rookies, but it's not too late, right? We have a good group of kids that are willing to work. By all accounts, all of them are coachable. So we don't have anybody that's, thinks they're a super diva or anything like that. Not that I know of. So Rafael Stone, just like he's going to be doing asset management going into quote unquote phase 2 of this rebuild. Phase 2 of this rebuild needs to include some lessons that were failed in phase 1. And that includes bringing veterans on this roster. This summer, with every other top priority that the Rockets have, they need to get veterans on the roster right now. Or any goals they have of winning, of establishing any type of winning culture in the NBA is going to fail. When I see some of the roster moves that we make that are so rigid related to just asset accumulation, but ignore some of the human aspects of basketball, it does lead me to believe sometimes that our front office is not really in tune with the art of basketball. They're more focused on the administrative and all the asset management side of basketball rather than dealing with the people. I hope that's not the case. I hope I'm wrong, but I haven't seen anything to really confirm that is wrong. We've had multiple people on podcasts, other NBA players, the coach recently saying that we need veterans on the roster. The only person that doesn't see that that's an issue is our general manager. So the challenge for the Rockets this summer is to address that immediately, because you are not going anywhere without having that level of support for your players coming into a league of grown men and people that have been there and done that. You're competing with other players that are professionals that have received this support, and they understand what the grind of the NBA is. And you're going to expect these young guys that are 19, 20, 21 year olds to be able to go out there and somehow supplant a team made up of adults from a job that they've been doing for multiple years. That's not realistic. So they need to really look at the age distribution on the roster and address that immediately. That's going to be priority number 1 for Stone. If they really also want to take it to the next level. One thing that I've been seeing from the Rockets that I'm not really happy in this is that we really as an organization don't really involve a lot of our players from the past. A lot of teams really engage their past players, whether it's with jobs or just being around the team. I don't see that a lot from the Rockets. Yes, we see Hakeem at the courtside. He might do one video or one workout a year with one of our players and everybody gets happy. And I love that, that they've established that relationship. But, a lot of the other organizations in the NBA, especially the historical ones, they have these ongoing relationships with their past players. And what this does, it also lends to building a culture that that you're a part of something bigger than yourself when you step into the doors of that organization, of that franchise. When you step into the doors, in your locker room and you're looking at the pictures on the walls, those players need to be around, and the Rockets need to find a way to get those players in jobs in the front office, jobs on the coaching staff, jobs as mentors, jobs just being supportive of the team, and employ them, because that is a part of building that winning culture that you want. The legacy of all the players that we've had in the past, kind of bridging down to the players that we have now. This is not stats, right? This is not my typical videos, but I'm really passionate about that because I feel like that's the area that the Rockets have really kind of slacked on. They need to address this immediately. Because the impact of this is just as important as anything else you could do to put your team in position to win. So I expect this summer, the thing is I'm going to be looking out for, obviously, we're going to be looking for all the trades and draft and all those other things that are going to be happening. But I need to see what veterans are the Rockets going to go out of their way to secure on the roster. The criteria for a veteran that you need: 1, they cannot be somebody that's trying to get a contract, right? Meaning not that you don't want them to get paid, but they're not somebody that's, oh man, I just need to get my minutes so I can go get a bigger check from here. They have to be somebody that is secure in their career. They have been there, done that, and that means that they've actually lent to meaningful basketball, not just some fifth string, bench player that never plays. Somebody that's actually played meaningful basketball that can impart wisdom from a higher level to your players. And if the Rockets need to, you might need to pay for that. Because the reason a lot of these vets are being bought out from the Rockets is not because they just hate Houston. It's because they need security, right? That's the thing. Veterans need security. Players need security. In order for a veteran to be able to feel comfortable playing that role of a mentor for your players, you need to ensure that they are covered for at least a couple of years in doing so, or else they're going to leave to go to another team where they can then prove themselves that they can earn a roster spot or earn another contract by playing. So they need to go out of their ways to do that. It is deadly important for us to be able to do that. That needs to be a priority for us to do because it is part of the lineage of the NBA. And as we have a rookie coach starting in 2020, a rookie GM starting in 2020, a fairly new owner in Tillman Fertitta, they need to learn these NBA lessons fast or we're going to still be at the bottom of the pack by next season. And y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. So let me know, what do you think about this video? What do you think about our veteran situation? Let me know in the comments below. And also you can watch the full video of the Devin Booker and Tyson Chandler little mini doc series, Rookie Vet from the Players Tribune. The link to that video is going to be in the description of this video. So please check it out. It's a must watch for all Rockets fans just to see what are some of the important things about having veterans on the roster. You can hear it from the words of two NBA players. And the thing about Devin Booker is that this is a player that's very similar to Jalen. And if we want Jalen to get to the level that he is right now, being one of the best two guards in the league, then it's going to be prudent for us to be able to provide as much support as we can for him, or he may end up as one of those guys that Tyson describes. But y'all let me know in the comments, what do you think about this video? Let me know. And as you always know, keep rocking with the Chop Shop, and we're going to keep bringing you that fire.